There's one thing that I had noticed this week that I guess I had a revelation. I don't know what you would want to call it. And you would think it would be obvious, like a no-brainer, but it wasn't for me, I guess. You know, it takes me a little time sometimes. But anyway, so this morning I was, reflecting on my weeks and how everything's been going and, how my breathing for the 120 days, how that's been going, just everything, the sleep, the water, everything. And I was thinking about how well it's been going, how I've been feeling. But yesterday, I felt a little off. And that morning, I had decided, I'm like, well, you know what? I've been doing really well. I'm going to go ahead and just lounge and sleep in or whatever. And when I was in bed and I was, sometimes I work from my bed, which I love. I love doing that. So, they say, oh, don't sleep in don't lay down in your bed and do your work, but it works for me. So I do it. So I was kind of doing some work and I got caught up in it and didn't get to do my breathing and my exercise in the morning. And it made such a huge difference on my production that day. I did do my water fast. Now there's one thing that I had decided to do is I'm going to do my water blessing every morning, and I've been sticking to that wholeheartedly. So now that I've been consistent with that, I'm going to add something else onto that I cannot sway from. And as soon as I realize, okay, this is the thing that I'm not going to compromise on, then I'm going to add that to it. I'm going to do that every day. Now, as far as the exercise, I've been doing it on a regular basis, but it hasn't been every morning. The breathing has been consistent, but maybe I might miss a morning or two. The water is consistent. So now I'm going to add the breathing most likely to every day. So whenever I'm doing my water, I'm going to make sure I do the breathing. So, yeah, yesterday morning, it was kind of off because I didn't do the breathing and the exercise and, my morning routine. And that day I just felt real lazy, real tired, didn't feel like doing this, didn't feel like doing that. It was really weird. It was a weird feeling. And this morning when I was reflecting on it, I realized that I used to be like that. I used to have these off days where I just didn't want to get up, didn't really want to, do anything, just kind of lounging around, kind of being off. But since I've been doing my breathing and since I've been doing my water, and I hadn't had that in a while. So the revelation I had this morning was the importance of constructing your own routine. That is so important. And I realized this morning, I'm like, you know what? It is really important that we as human beings and following the God within us, that we learn what works for us as individuals and not trying to change our program so much to where, oh, I've got to do this because this program, it requires this, this, and this. Well, you don't have to do that if it doesn't work for you. If it doesn't work for you, what good is it anyway? So if you see a program that you think, okay, you know what, I want to do that, but I don't think I can continue that on for whatever weeks. Let me do it like this until I'm able to gradually get there. And that's okay. That's okay. So ultimately, you just want to be successful in what you're doing. So all of that to say, construct your own program. We have the 120 days, and the purpose of that is mainly to educate. It's to educate the importance of each of those things, the importance of breathing, the importance of doing the water, drinking water, the importance of breathing. I mean, just all of that, the importance of sleep. And while you're doing these things, you're learning about every aspect of it. You get videos and all these things, but what you need to do is do what is consistent for you, what works for you. That is the most important thing. But anyway, let me give our disclaimer. This is a community call to educate the community about holistic healing. All information and comments are the opinions or experiences of individuals. Unless introduced as a doctor, individuals on this call are not doctors. So please consult with your own doctor or do your own research to find out what works for your own body. Okay, I am very pleased to introduce our guest, LaToya Davis. She is a passionate holistic practitioner and founder of Infinite Nature, dedicated to empowering individuals to set practical, effective health goals. With over 12 years of plant-based living and 9 years as a raw vegan, LaToya brings a wealth of personal and professional experience to her coaching. Her journey includes a raw vegan pregnancy and nursing while eating raw, showcasing her commitment to holistic living. And I am so pleased that you're here, LaToya.
Yes, thank you. Greetings, everyone. It's a pleasure to be on this call today. Once again, greetings, everyone. It's a pleasure to be on this call. Thank you for inviting me to speak about fruits. I eat fruits on a regular basis, so this is definitely perfect. Today, the title is Nature's Greatest Gift, the Power of Fruits for Health and Vitality, Making Fruits a Natural Part of Your Lifestyle. My name, once again, is LaToya Davis. I am a holistic practitioner, health coach. I also, of course, as Beverly mentioned, I have been intentionally on this journey for 12 years as far as eating plant-based. And through my experiences, I wanted to make it a part, I knew it was a part of my path, purpose, and mission to support other people. And it started, I believe, I came in earlier in the call, it was mentioned to set the example. So just being the example for family and for friends, and they will be inspired. I definitely can relate and believe that is the best way to encourage those around you. And through that passion that I had for myself, I was able to share with others, and I knew that it was a part of my path. And that's how I embarked on my journey, learning through the teachings of Queen Afua and also just other mentors that I've had along the way. And eventually I ended up getting into Sacred Woman, which is also connected to Queen Afua, and I also did a holistic practitioner certification through her. And through that, I was already studying, in my own way with the different greats that have come before that are now ancestors, like Dr. Africa, Dr. Sabi, and many others. But I knew that it was a part of my path, purpose, and mission just because of how it impacted my life, just eating plant-based foods just in general. But of course, you don't have to be plant-based in order to have these kind of experiences. It's more so about focusing on whole foods and making sure that you are incorporating more nutrient-dense foods into your lifestyle, regardless of your food choices. I just personally have found that raw vegan lifestyle fits me. I have way more energy, and my life has changed a lot in an amazing way. And I was able to conceive my child and birth her while on a raw vegan diet, which a lot of people gave me pushback, but I was able to show that I wasn't doing this for the name of health. I was doing it because my body liked it, and not only that, I saw how it changed me mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So that's why I did it. But that's enough about me. I want to go ahead and just transition on into fruits and what it is. But my intention is to show ways to incorporate more fruit in your everyday life. Now, I will go into like what a fruit is and the type of fruits and the groups of fruits, but I'm not thinking about that when I go to the grocery store, and I'm sure some of you probably can relate to that. I'm not thinking about the specifics of that. I'm thinking about what my body is craving, what I want, what I may want for a recipe, all of those things. And it's more so about how to make it fun and how to make it creative. And because sometimes as people are embarking on their wellness journey, sometimes it can feel overwhelming when you're thinking about all these different types of appliances for juicing or smooth, a blender, all of these things on top of, oh, you can't eat this or you can't eat that. I'm big on starting where you are and just using the information that you get, like the information I share, as a guide, and then go from there. So it's about just showing ways to incorporate more fruit in your everyday life, but also having fun with it and being creative with it. So what are fruits? What are the types of fruits? What are the fruit groups? So I put my daughter there when she was very small. She's 6 now, but she was very small, and she has her mango. So that's one of the fruits that she loved to eat, and she would clean that mango seed like clean it. And then I have the watermelon, which can be a monomil, and also, of course, just a picture of a fruit. So what are fruits? Fruits are fleshy and dry, ripened ovary of a flowering plant that encloses the seed or seeds. That's just the basic scientific title of it. But of course, when we think of fruits, we automatically think of the different ones like apples and bananas and grapes, tomatoes, and sometimes there are different types of food that you may not think is a fruit. Like, for example, tomatoes. A lot of times people may put that in the vegetable category. Cucumbers, or even things like a acorn or almonds. A lot of nuts things that are considered nuts are really fruits just because of how it grows. So we have 3 different types of fruit, and going here we have the, well, actually four types. We have the simple fruit, which is an apple, and some of these can go into multiple categories. I've noticed, the simple fruit develops from a single ovary, um, and then we have the aggregate fruits, which they grow from multiple ovaries of a single flower. And then you have, and the aggregate is like a berry, the berries, think of that. And then you have the multiple fruits developed from many flowers packed together, and that is a pineapple. That's an example of a pineapple. And then the accessory fruit also is raspberry or blackberry, but it also can be a pear. So that's why I said that some of them can overlap with each other. And it's just that how this is determined is how it grows. But like I said, this is not something that you really have to remember, but just if you wanted one of those people that love to research things and love to know how things come to be, this is a great way to start. And so we also have the fruit groups. Of course, you can be familiar with the citrus. There's different ones, of course, lemon and mandarin and grapefruit. And then we have like the tropical fruits, and tropical is based upon like where it grows, which is normally in high temperature areas, in the tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, between that. So then we have like avocado and lime and dragon fruit. And a lot of these, of course, a lot of I find a lot of the fruits share similar benefits as far as high in vitamins, high in antioxidants, high in fiber, great for digestion, great for improving heart health, skin, hair, eyes, potassium. A lot of them, to me, share similar benefits. And so then you also have the palm fruit, which is, they tend to have like the tough layer, like an apple or a pear. And then they have the seed in the middle, of course. And then you have the berries, which is like the raspberries, the blackberries, the blueberries. And then we have the melon. And the melon, of course, I highly recommend, and you may already know this, if depending on like your experiences with eating like food combinations, it's best to eat melons by itself. But you have like the cantaloupe, the watermelon, the honeydew, and I put nuts and seeds here because a lot of times people don't think about nuts and seeds um, being a fruit, but a lot of them are, such as like peanuts and cashews and almonds, because they're considered a drupe, which is which you see, if you can see it, it's on the peach here is a drupe, which is like this, or it's called a stone fruit, like, so it has that kind of stone like seed, but then it has a fleshy, juicy, the outside is fleshy and juicy. So a lot of times, a lot of the nuts and seeds, well, not seeds, but the nuts that have that are actually considered fruit, they are considered drupes, like cashew, peanuts, and
I do have a
almonds.
question about the melon. Why is it, and I've heard this before, but why is it we're supposed to eat the melons by itself?
Oh, the great question, and we're going to get to that really soon. So, when it comes to like food combinations, it's best because fruits tend to you tend to digest them really fast. So, and in general, it's best to eat fruits. I say technically you're supposed to eat fruits by itself. That's the way I was taught. You're supposed to eat fruits by itself, but when it comes to melons, they digest extremely fast. So let's say you go ahead and eat like a nice hearty, for me it would be a salad or something like some kind of bean and quinoa or something like that. You eat that, and then on top of that, you eat watermelon. So then it takes longer for like the beans and the quinoa to digest in your body versus the melon. So then because of that, it's not going to fully digest, and it can putrefy in your digestive system. So then it can cause like bloating and sometimes even like nausea and stuff like that. That's my experience of when I have mixed melons with other food in general. I find that it's best for me, especially in the summertime when I like to just eat melon. I prefer to just do it by itself. And also, we're going to talk about food combinations, so that's a great question.
Okay, thanks.
hmm So now combining fruits. So here is a picture of one of my personal food combination chart, which I've had for years. As you can see, it's been tattered up, but here we can start with the melons since that question was asked. It shows here the melons. They have different ones. Here they have the also the Persian, the muskmelon. Some of these I've never even had before. Um, and then melons, because they decompose faster than other fruits, it is advised to eat melons separately from other fruits. And just because of that, and it's I know for me, when I've done that, I've been extremely bloated and just feel very uncomfortable for a long time because, like I mentioned, it takes longer for other type of food to digest versus like a melon. Um, but here is another layer of like how to separate fruits. You have your subacidic fruits like the mango, the apple, berries, cherries, most grapes. And then you have the sweet fruits, which are like the grapes, the bananas, dates, papaya. And then you have the acidic fruits, which is grapefruit, kiwi, orange, pineapple, strawberry, tomato. And if you can see here, there's different arrows of which ones combine better than others. Like the subacidic fruits, which is like an apple or a mango, it can blend really well with a orange or a kiwi or a strawberry. It's not going to cause you any issues when you are striving to digest, because that's the key. A lot of times you'll find, well, I know in my experiences of talking to people and just my own personal experience, some people will tell you, oh, I try to eat more fruits and vegetables, but my stomach starts to hurt. And a lot of times what's maybe going on is, yes, your body may be getting used to eating more um, dense, nutrient dense food, but a lot of times people may be combining foods that are not the best to combine when it comes to digestion. And so that's why I wanted to show this particular chart when it comes to fruit. On the other side, I also had vegetables, but since we're focusing only on fruit, I just showed this one. But also with subacidic fruits, they go well with sweet fruits. So the subacidics, once again, is like apple and mango. It can go with bananas or dates or papaya. And and then acidic fruits and sweet fruits are not good combination at all. And that's like a banana mixing with a tomato, or a papaya mixing with a lime. So it's like two extremes. So then we have the two extremes. We have the acidic fruits and then the sweet fruits. So those two don't go together well. And then, but when it comes to tomatoes, you can mix them with avocados or nuts, but not with starches or protein. So I do, of course, when it comes to my salads or something like that, or um, like a salad like with cucumbers and tomatoes or something like that. I'll do that. But it's best when it comes to these to keep acidic fruits and sweet fruits separate, and subacidic and acidic fruits are good, and melons should be eaten by themselves. And honestly, it even says here fruits digest best when eaten by themselves an entire meal. In general, fruits should not be eating with other foods. If they are, they will be detained in the stomach, causing them to begin fermentation. So that's why sometimes if you have experienced some kind of discomfort, even if you ate something that's a little bit more healthier and it has some fruit in it, it that could be a reason why. It's just that the combination of the different types of foods may not be best. Even when it comes to smoothies, the way that I was taught was that it's best to keep things separate. As far if it doesn't combine well, to not do it. However, when it comes to me, when I do my green smoothies, I will put bananas and avocado in the same thing just because I like it and my stomach don't give me any problems. So I say do things, it's like be aware of it, but if you find that your stomach is okay with it or that you don't have any major impacts, do what is best for you. I'm big on intuitively eating and doing what's best for your body, like how does your body respond to it. So for example, it says avocados combine best with non-starchy vegetables, fair with acid fruits and starches, and they don't do well with sweet fruits and or proteins. However, I do put bananas and avocado in my smoothies because the bananas acts as a sweetener for my smoothies instead of just adding some added sugar or whatever, or something that's just extremely processed to make it sweet. So, I would say the correct answer is to do everything separately. However, I know I in my personal life I do use mix them together as long as this doesn't impact my stomach. So I would suggest if you can eat your fruits earlier in the day. Just like make that one of your first meals. I would suggest that just because it digests faster. And like for example, I know sometimes I know for me it's more tempting to eat something that is a little more hearty, especially I say do what your body says as far as like if you're craving something but it's still like relatively healthy. But sometimes I may want some nuts in the beginning of the day after I may have had some tea or some water or whatever the case may be. But I would suggest getting your fruits earlier in the day, and but as far as you could wait like a couple hours. I would advise a couple hours, after you've had that. But if you're going to like eat a meal like have your protein and your starch or whatever it is, I would suggest starting with the fruit first, eating that first, and then let your body digest it within an hour or two, and then after that, eat the next thing if you're going to do it that way. Although it's best to eat it's best to eat your heavier foods in the middle of the day, and but when it comes to like the first foods, it is good to have your fruits first and then eat your heavier meal. And then in the evening time, you want to eat lighter, so eating fruit is still okay or whatnot, because by then hopefully your food have been digesting. Depending on what type of food you're eating, it should have been digested. So if you want something to crave your sweet tooth, then you definitely can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually a better alternative versus eating something that's super sweet. Okay, so then we can move on. If there's any other questions that come up, as we move on, you can definitely ask, of course. And then we have monomills, which this is great in the summertime, but I do this all the time. I'll sit, like, even now, and with it being a little cooler, I eat a lot of citrus. I eat a lot of mandarins, and I can easily eat like almost a whole bag of them as a one meal and just eat that. But monomills are a way to like reframe like how you view eating meals, because sometimes, especially when you're embarking on your journey, or you're striving to get to another level on your journey in your health and wellness, you may sometimes people may overthink. I say it, just may overthink it, and it's like, well, just make it very simple and just eat a whole. I have in the center mango. That's one of my favorite mono meals. Just eating a whole lot of mangoes as one meal, or eating a whole lot of water, just eating till I'm full, I should just say, not overeating, but overeating till I'm full of watermelon or pineapple or mandarins or whatnot. And then you'll find that people do this when they're fasting too, when they may be wanting to take a break from eating a whole lot of different things and just focusing on one thing for a particular meal. And but you don't have to do it with fasting only. I do it, it's easy for me to do it just in general. But it's just a way to not overthink things. And if you feel like you're craving a particular fruit, you can just choose whatever fruit. I personally don't. I know some people that have done like mono meals with bananas. I'm not really a fan of doing like bananas as a mono meal, but I know some people do it. When it comes to bananas, that is one particular fruit that I'm way more mindful of. Even though I do use it in my smoothies, I do limit it, because a real natural banana has seeds for one, and here where I'm at, of course, I don't find that many seeded bananas. So it's just something just to keep in mind. And so how to incorporate fruit. So there's different ways. We have the mono meals. Of course, we have the smoothie. We have the juices. You can incorporate fruits in your everyday meals that you may not even think of. Then on this left-hand side, this actually is a pie. It's a fruit pie, but it's a raw fruit pie, so it's not cooked. Yeah, it's not cooked at all or anything. And I pretty much just use like probably either pecans or walnuts with dates as the base, as the crust. And I probably put like cinnamon or something in there. And then I cut up like my mangoes, my and then I have the blackberries, blueberries, and strawberries, and all of those are subacidic fruits, so they're going to combine well together. And then I just probably sprinkle some cinnamon and maybe a drizzle a little bit of agave, not much, on, and that is a great way to incorporate fruit. That's a great way to quench your like sweet tooth and be guilt free. You can have it for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So that is a way to incorporate fruit, and just finding just creative ways. Then I have at the bottom, that's a acai bowl, or you can do like a smoothie bowl. And of course, the combinations are like having the almond butter may not be the best, but as I've mentioned before, there's do I don't want people to feel restricted, especially if is if you're finding that your body is not responding negatively to it, like just paying attention to your body. So of course here I have the different fruit, look like strawberry, blueberries, shredded coconut. Looks like cacao's in it too. So that's another fun way to eat fruit. And then of course juicing. This is from a food demo I did. I think I was juicing. I don't know what I was juicing. Hold on, it looks like green onion or something. Um, but yeah, so this is me just showing a picture of just me juicing. So that's another way to incorporate your fruit. And then how to incorporate your fruit. So the question that was just asked was just like where to go or like what type of places. So one way, of course, is to grow, like growing your own food. Of course, that's one of the best ways of making sure you're getting quality because you know where it's coming from because you're growing it. Of course, going to like your farmer's market, that is a given, or a local farmer, or I know where in the area that I am in, we have our weekly farmers market. Then we have other surrounding areas that may have a farmers market. Then there's farmers that you could directly go to their farm and get it. You can go to like community gardens or be a part of a community garden, being a part of a co-op. I know it's a black-owned farm in my city, and you can rent a row, like a whole row or a half a row. Um, there's many different ways um, to be mindful of because the food is different now. Like that is very true. I have seen like even when it comes to like avocados, the quality has gone down each year in my opinion. The mangoes have gone down. Everything has gone down. So I'm particular about different stores I go to. So of course you have like your local chain stores. I'm not sure if y'all have like Kroger. I'm sure you probably do have like a Kroger or like a Food Lion or whatever. I know that depending on what side of town I'm on, some some um, some of the stores are get they're they are well kept than others. I would just say that. Some, depending on what side of town you're on, and the access to food can be different depending on what side of town you're on. On my side of town, where the Kroger is at, is not as well kept, but they have improved. They gotten way better at it. So sometimes I go to the across town to get the where it's more clean and more. You could tell that they're changing things out better. But I also look at, of course, the codes. You're looking at, which are conventionally grown, which are certified organic and genetically modified. But even when you go to the farmers market, some of them may not be sort of organic, but still the fact that they grew it, that's better than, you know, if it's genetically modified at a grocery store. So that's the thing. So for me, Walmart, I preferably don't like Walmart produce. I'm not a fan of it, but I know that every city and may be different, but I just know for me, I just never the presentation, the energy of it, like I feel the energy of food. I'm not sure how anybody else, but I feel the energy of food. And so when I go to a grocery store and I can feel if it seems like the food is more vibrant or energizing, and when it's not, or if it's not well kept, I don't touch it at all. So I'll go to like Aldi's, and even with Aldi's you have to be mindful because not everything in there I care for either. But I do like they do have like it's a competitive when it comes to their berries and their avocados. Certain avocados, when it's not in the bag, I prefer the ones that are not in the bag. I do like their mandarins. There's sweet onion, like, well, that's not a fruit. But I do. There's certain things that I get from certain stores. So at Aldi's I get certain things. At Whole Foods I get a lot of things. Even though Whole Foods is not the best, has not been the best. It's dwindled as far as quality. Like you're probably better getting going to your farmer's market first, and whatever your farmer's market don't have or whatever your community garden don't have, then going to like a Whole Foods as the last result result also. So but also I don't get caught up in the organic. Um, to a degree. Although, like when I started my journey, I did not get all organic food. I started with what I could at the time, and I was on a really tight budget. So I would go to like a Food Lion or a Kroger or something, and I would go and just buy what I can. And I looked at the Dirty Dozens and the Clean 15. So I'm flexible when it comes to the pineapple or the onions. And somebody mentioned about the pineapple. I sometimes feel like the pineapple that's not organic sometimes be better. A lot of times be better than the ones that are organic. That's from my personal experience. So it's, even with that, it's like looking at it, like looking at the food and just smelling it or all of that, and just like sensing whether or not that particular food is the best to get. So I do it on a I sense it based upon its appearance and how it feels and when I'm sensing about it, but then also keeping in mind the Dirty Dozen, the Clean 15, and what is available in my area. But of course, when it comes to like kale and collards or spinach, any greens, I buy organic. No, I don't. I buy that organic. The only time that I don't, if it's not, it's because I got it from a farmer or something like that, or straight from the farm. That's the only way that I would get it, and it's conventionally grown. If it's from a farmer that I know is, legitimate or whatever. But as you mentioned, as it's mentioned in here, apples, anything with skin, you definitely want to strive to buy that. Anything that's on a Dirty Dozens list that you should buy organic, I recommend going to your farmer, your local farmer's market or a farmer. And anything that is that's not organic, that's kind of more on the clean, and you can't get it from the farmer's market or farmers or community garden co-op, then I would go to like a Aldi's or go to a Kroger, or if you don't, some people you may not like certain things at certain stores, so you just may stick to a certain store. So it's kind of like you have to learn how to shop. That's what I've learned. Just going around the different stores and seeing, okay, they tend to have this, they tend to have better tomatoes here, or they tend to have better pineapples here, or all of that. So that's how I shop personally. So I know sometimes it could be a challenge. And another thing I do when it comes to organic is I'll shop around at the different local chains, because a lot of times they do discounts because nobody's really touching the organic. So I'll go and I will search
Yeah.
like the discount, the bins. Sometimes they have certain sections that's just for the discounted produce. So I also look at Wednesdays tend to be a day I notice that they put discounts out, even when it's
Mm-hmm.
even Whole Foods have their discounts out when it comes to just food in general. So I will also like look at that particular day. And also, I'm not sure how it is with your area. If they have like a farm, in my area they have like a farmers market every Saturday, and then throughout the week, each day they tend to stop, like have like a mini market, and maybe have it at the Salvation Army. They'll have their truck parked out, or then maybe have it at another community center on a different day. So looking into just supporting the locally sourced things, and just searching it, looking for it, or talking to people that are into that kind of thing, and finding it that way. So that's what I tend to do, just look out for opportunities for local produce to be available in the area. And also, when it comes to like, because I know that there's a lot of like debate when it comes to high sugar, low sugar, and I almost big on doing what is best for your health and wellness and what your doctors recommend. But I do find that when you are more mindful of the intake of like meat or flesh, I find that people that may have had things like diabetes, and they may have had to take, insulin or whatnot, and then they started to incorporate more of a plant-based lifestyle and start doing that more. I find that they that issue wasn't as much of a concern, as far as low sugar or high sugar, because really like fruit is a natural sugar. It comes from the earth. If it was processed, like a white sugar, then that's definitely something, or something like a candy or whatever. That's something to be definitely mindful of. But I do find that when you are eating a plant-based diet, it that low sugar, high sugar is not as much of a concern, as if when you are eating more like meat or flesh, or just eating more just processed foods in general that are not whole foods.
LaToya, I noticed you have the a chart right there with the genetically modified, the digit codes, like when we go to the store.
Yes, yes.
Can you touch on that for a second?
Yes, that as far as the codes, that's very important too. You see, the conventionally grown normally starts with a 3 or 4, and then when you go certified organic, normally has a 9, or you sometimes will see like a 9, 6 or something like that, and then it'll have the rest of the number. And then genetically modified, that's pretty much lab created, and was starting with um a 8. So the organic starts with a 9, the conventionally grown is 3 or 4, and then genetically modified is with an 8. If you can, strive to stay away from the genetically modified, um, strive to do that. But when it comes to like certified organic, even with the organic, as we have already discussed, sometimes that's not even the best. So it's more so just having the discernment, and I find that it comes with just practice. Just practice of shopping and just looking at it, or observing it, and whether or not it's quality or not. Um, but that's pretty much the another way to just be mindful of getting the most quality produce that you can have, if you don't have like a farmer's market or whatever in the area. Because I know even when I travel, sometimes there's only one grocery store or whatnot, and so you're just striving to do your very best, and may not, and sometimes their produce section is not the best. Sometimes I can't even get fresh like kale, like, or whatever green I want, so I might have to get like the package, and that's not the best to get, but sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. So I'd say just do the best with what circumstances that you have, but don't feel like you have to restrict yourself. Um, but just do the best with what you have. That's my biggest thing. Start where you need to start. And then this is just from my own personal journey. And the reason why I'm sharing raw stuff is because people tend to think that raw foods is restrictive. So if and you're seeing that it's not as restrictive as it may look. So if this 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 type of quote unquote diet, if this type of quote unquote diet is not necessarily restrictive, just imagine other types of food choices or that people choose, how you can have even more options, because with raw foods it's mostly live food, is not being cooked. So just imagine the different things that you can do with cooked foods. So this particular one I did in it's pancakes in a dehydrator using bananas as a base of it, and blueberries. But on the side I have the different fruits, and all of these actually can go together. This is subacidic. All of these are subacidic fruits, and then except for the bananas, which are sweet fruits, and subacidic and sweet fruits can go together. So I did food combine the fruits very well, and then the bananas are in the pancakes. So so that goes still blends in well. So that's just one way of seeing how you can just be. I'm just striving to show the creativity that you can have with food, and it doesn't have to just be eating whole food. I mean, whole fruit all the time, because I know sometimes that may be boring. You may want something else. And then raw vegan gourmet, another way of seeing how you can have fruit without it looking the way you may naturally envision just eating fruit in your cereal or whatever the case may be. So in this buffalo cauliflower wrap, the guacamole, that's guacamole in there, which is avocado. That's a way that I have fruit in my everyday meals. Another thing right here, the raw walnut taco on romaine. We have the guacamole with, and then we have the tomatoes. Those are fruit. Once again, it's easy to incorporate fruit in ways that are still fun and tasty. Then you have the raw vegan pizza with the olives on there, and there's red bell peppers in that too, which is also a fruit. A lot of times people don't think of raw bell bell pepper as a fruit, but it is, and red bell pepper has the highest level of vitamin C. Oop. And then I wanted to just show some more. Then you have the Thai pasta that has, you can't see it, but it has in that kelp noodle, it has like red bell pepper and cucumbers, which is a fruit. And then in the taco salad, the guacamole of course has the avocado and the tomatoes. Those are fruit. And then in this taco salad concoction I have, there is red bell pepper and I think yellow bell pepper in there. I think that's the only fruits that I can think of. And that one. And then in this couscous dish that I made, there's olives in that. If you notice, I like to use a lot of olives and things and tomatoes. And then in the salad, there's avocado too. So I like a lot of hearty. When I do, although I eat raw, I like a lot of hearty dishes that will be very filling and stick to my stomach, since I am eating a lot of high raw stuff. But that is pretty much the end of the presentation. I left this part towards the end because I was just thinking, like, how can I show ways? And I decided to do this because a lot of times people look at raw as restrictive, and I was like, well, if I can show that it's not as restrictive, this there I can know that will allow, that may make your brain churn, like, okay, well, I'm not trying to eat raw, but I can do this and that and this, so I hope that kind of inspires you to see how different ways you can create fruit without it literally just being like the typical fruit things that you have in your breakfast or your smoothies or your juices. So but this is the end, and thank you so much for your time. The ways you can stay connected is through my Instagram, Infinite Nature, Facebook, Infinite Nature, and my website, divineinfinitenature.com. And if there are any more questions, you can feel free to ask.
I cannot help but to ask you, do you have recipes for that? And also, you got my mouth watering over here. You ever thought about moving to Houston?
Right.
Oh my God, that food looks so delicious.
Thank
So
you.
that pizza, I love pancakes. So since I've been on this journey, I haven't been doing the pancakes. But do
Mhm.
you have recipes for any of those?
Some of these I even got from like books. I can share books that I've like this particular one that I made for breakfast or something. I made that from, it's called, I can go, let me go get it now, but it's called Live Raw, and I can probably put the information in. I'll probably just, if I can get back to the chat, I can put it in, but it's called let me look up the Live Raw, Live Raw or Live Raw. It's a book. Oh, okay, yes. Live Raw, raw food recipes for good health, and I don't know, for good health and timeless beauty. So I can put that in the chat. It's by Mimi Kirk. She has a lot of great simple recipes because a lot of times recipes can be overwhelming when there's so many
Yes.
ingredients.
Mhm.
So I find that it's easier to let me see if I can. I'm about to stop sharing so I can share it.
Okay. Now you have workshops sometimes, right?
Yes, but I do. I have Savannah Black Raw Vegan meetups monthly. I have once a month. I have um, raw vegan meetups where I'm pretty much just doing like a food demo. I always share food. It's free. This is something for the heart, something for the community. It's something I'm passionate about. So normally it's themed based upon depending on what type of food. So I may have one time I did juicing, one time I've done wraps, different raw wraps. One time I've done the sweet treats. I've done multiple ones on sweet treats, and sometimes there's other aspects of wellness or maybe talking about self-love or community or rest is resistance is based upon like whatever is in my spirit to share. So, but I normally do that once a month, and it brings out, different types of people from different walks of life, and everybody's goal is to just strive to eat healthier and to build community. So, yes, I do that once a month.
That is awesome. Do you ever have it where it's virtual?
I haven't done that yet. Somebody has asked me about that, but I haven't done that yet. Maybe I'll do that in the future, as far as do some virtual ones, or at least have it to where I can do both, where I'm live, but then it's also virtual. So I'll definitely look into here that. Is live raw food recipes for good health and timeless beauty. Um, another some of the recipes, of course, are from my heart. I've done created myself, and I another thing is don't sleep on recipe books, regardless if you just in general, recipe books can help you create your own recipe. Okay, so but yes, recipe books help me even be more creative. I can take a base of what the recipe is and then make it my own. Or sometimes recipes are not as easy to make, easy to write. So there was a time like last week I did a food demo on pralines. I love pralines. That's a staple in Savannah, Georgia. That's like something that we're known for. So I haven't had pralines since I started eating vegan 12 years ago. So I said, let me find a praline recipe. So I found a raw vegan one, and based upon the directions, it wasn't the best, but and I used dates. Dates was the main, which is a fruit. Dates was the main ingredient, and so the first time I made it, I was like, I have to tweak this because it's not coming out the way I want it, even though I followed the directions. So sometimes, you can just use recipes as a way to guide you to creating your own, So
Nice.
don't sleep on that.
Thank you so much. I just love, love, love those dishes that you make. They just look delicious. And yes, that is very encouraging to do the raw, seeing those meals that you're preparing. So I thank you.
Oh,
But
you're
yeah,
welcome.
please keep us informed about anything that you have going on. I know you're way out in Savannah, and until you decide to come on to Houston and and hook us
Yes,
up.
yes, I definitely want to. I've only gone to Dallas years ago, so I was like, I always wanted to go to Houston, so I definitely want to come because I see that you all have a wellness scene that seems like it's
Mhm.
great. So I definitely want to visit. I'm big on traveling for food and traveling for like places that have a good wellness scene, especially within the Black community. Like big on that.
That would be awesome. If you have a date or something, whenever you decide that you want to come out here, let me know, and we'll create an event for you.
Okay.
And, doing some meals or whatever it is that you do, your workshops. We'll create that here for you.
Okay, absolutely. I'll definitely keep you posted.
All right, we'll do that. And thanks again for coming on. I really appreciate you and love the information that you shared with us.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely.